In my own opinion, Ousmane Dembele can be removed and Lamine Yamal will be put. I still do not believe because I still don't find Ousmane Dembele worthy of the Ballon d'Or. I still feel, for me, I still feel like he got the Ballon d'Or because he's French. In my opinion,
I don't think so.
I feel like the Ballon d'Or belongs to Lamine Yamal. Hello, welcome to yet another interesting episode of the program Sports Preview on Bua Community Voice. It's a program that is poised to make sure that will tell you all you need to know about the beautiful, beautiful world of football and sports in general. Proudly sponsored by our friends at MaxBet. Yes, www.maxbet.ng. Straight up today, we'll be talking about something interesting, and that will be the 2025 FIFRO World 11. Yes, winners, they have been revealed. And let me tell you that the 2025 FIFRO men's women's 11, that's the World 11, was unveiled, and following votes from more than 26,000 footballers, professional footballers from across the world, representing 68 countries worldwide. It's interesting also to point out for you that 5 of the Paris Saint-Germain players, including former goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma, met the court. Donnarumma is now at Manchester City, and they got the selection as the most selected team there after the French champions remarkably did that treble-winning campaign last season. Let me just also remind you that at just 18 years of age, Barcelona's Lamine Yamal became the youngest ever to be selected for the men's World 11, breaking a record held by Kylian Mbappe that he held at the 2018. You can remember that was the year that we saw France rule the world. The French forward made the team aged 19. And it's interesting to see England is the most represented in the women category. So we'll also take a glimpse of that one also. Let me also just let you know that in Africa, it was a milestone year for African football in this FIFRO 11, with for the first time 2 Africans got selected. Barbara Banda of Zambia making a second appearance in the FIFRO 11, with Ghislaine Chebak of Morocco ending her debut in the selection. I'm not surprised that Chebak made it. Had a very, very interesting campaign with Morocco in the Women African Cup of Nations, and we know that they lost after Nigerian Super Falcons came back from a losing end to grab that 10th title, but she was amazing all through that tourney. And so interestingly, I won't be doing this alone. My name is Oji of the Double O. I'll be doing this alongside the super duper team that have flanked me at this moment, male and female, to make sure that we analyze what are we talking about. Are there players who you think should be in this 11, or are they all deserving? If they are not deserving, who are those players who you feel shouldn't be in this 11, and you'll be giving your reasons? Yeah, you're not eluded, because you can still stand a chance to be a part of this conversation via the comment section. Just drop it. Let's talk about this, the FIFRO 11 for 2025. Welcome back. So let's get onto it. I have with me Bonfrey Joe, and of course we have Chiwendo, who will be bringing her expert analysis alongside Podolski. Podolski, good to have you. So let's get into the main business. I would want to make that introduction about the FIFRO 11 for the guys. Goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma of Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City and Italy. Yes, Paris Saint-Germain, because that was the team that he had that stellar performance. But currently with Man City now, defenders Virgil van Dijk of Liverpool and Netherlands. There is Achraf Hakimi of Paris Saint-Germain and Morocco. Nuno Mendes of Paris Saint-Germain and Portugal. There are midfielders Jude Bellingham from Real Madrid and England. There is Cole Palmer from Chelsea and England. Pedri of Barcelona and Spain. Vitinha, who plays for Paris Saint-Germain and Portugal. Via the forwards, we have Ousmane Dembele, the Ballon d'Or winner, who plays for Paris Saint-Germain and France. And there is Kylian Mbappe, who is a striker for Real Madrid and the French national team. And to mention the last but not the least on the list here is Lamine Yamal. I told you earlier that he made the cut as the youngest ever to do it, just at the age of 18. the Barcelona forward that is completing this very, very interesting list. And they are placed with a goalkeeper, 3 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 3 attack. Let me also remind you that the selection was done by every professional player selecting 3 players. So you have to select 1 best defender, 1 best midfielder, and 1 best attacker. And that is how they came up with this list. And then in your selection, they are allowed to go through all of the lists, and they were able to compile and get what we want. So let me explain it for 68 countries voted via a secure digital platform distributed by FIFRO and its affiliated player union. For the men's World 11 votes performance from July 15, 2024 to August 3, 2025, the players required to have appeared at least 30 official matches before the selection. Each player selected 3 standard performances in 4 professional positional categories: goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, and forward. So that is select 3 standard performance each. That is what I'm trying to explain. Like in each category, you're selecting 3 standard performance for you. You say goalkeepers, you can say I have Donnarumma. I'm selecting Kepa. I'm selecting Courtois. That's how it is for you. Then you go to the next one. You say defenders. Let's say I'm going with Akraf Hakimi. I'm going with Virgil van Dijk. I'm also selecting Rudiger, for example. So this is what every player. Then you go to the midfield, select 3 also. You go to the forward, you select 3 also. So we are now going to, at the end of the day, come through with the most appeared names. Do you understand? So it's not important like you say, my best goalkeeper is Donnarumma. You can select 3 goalkeepers that you feel are worth it to be in this FIFRO. So the most selected names are the names that are appearing. So 3 goalkeepers, 3 forwards, 3 midfielders, 3 forwards with the most votes in selection, while the 11 spots went to the next highest ranked outfield player overall. Remember, with this selection, you're going to get 10. So the 11th position went for the most name that appeared, like second best name that appeared. So why I wanted to make all of these points clear is so that you understand the yardstick for selection. Because a lot of persons feel like, okay, probably this player is popular, that's why it's not there. I still feel like some persons must have selected Osimhen as one of their best forwards, but it's just about how many times did the name pop up. Then if we are selecting about member associations of FIFA, Africa have got the highest number because Africa have got more countries than a lot of other countries. So a lot of persons will say, no, because it's Africa, I think the votes are compiled. So, but let's get into the names that we have here. First off, Adia, for you, what can you say about the 11? Is there a name you feel like should be here that is not here? Is there, I mean, your own personal opinion, is there a name that you feel like should be here that is not here? Is there name that is here that you feel like shouldn't be here? And you can just give reasons you feel like, I mean, considering the window that we are looking at. Remember, from the 11th of August in 2024 to the 3rd of August in 2025, because the year, you need to understand the year. A lot of people are mistaking the year for the season. The year is not the season. A season does not go from August to August. So this is 1 year, a window of 1 year. So if we're looking at a window of 1 year, so you can just start playing by August and do well within that window. You're making it to this squad. That's what the players understood before they are dropping their votes. So with the window in view, that's what we're looking. Remember, the names are very clear. We have Gianluigi Donnarumma, Virgil van Dijk, Akraf Hakimi, Mendes, Jude Bellingham, Cole Palmer, Pedro, Vitinha, Ousmane Dembele, Kylian Mbappe, and Lamine Yamal. So let's start with you at the lady in the house. After all, they say that is first.
Without being biased, I think Liverpool really did well. The players in that time frame that we just mentioned, they really did well. I think Mo Salah should be in this list. Not to sound not to sound overly protective of Mo Salah. I think Mo Salah brought some things to the game, not just for the for country, he also brought it to Liverpool. I think he deserves to be in this list. And also, I think another person that is not talked about but very integral for Real Madrid, I'm talking about Valverde. He should be in this list. I think. I mean, if you ask me, I think Kopama shouldn't be in this list. I think Valverde should have replaced Kopama in this list because Valverde was an integral part of Real Madrid all through season out, season in, throughout this period. And I think for me, they overlooked him. He should be in this list.
Yeah, that would tell you the truth. I think the list made a lot. There are a lot of the list made something good about all those things because when you talk about Liverpool, they were the champions of England, and having a defender such as Van Dijk being in that list is something a plus there. And also, I think the likes of Mo Salah should have been in this list, having been the one that lifted that cup for Liverpool. He played a vital role in that in making them the champion. Then I think for Cole Palmer, maybe where he got this thing was the Club World Cup that he got in a platter of gold for me. I think that was where he came in as into this list. But I think the list is okay for the way I see it. A well-deserved list for Lamine Yamal. He has done well for Barcelona at a young age. He's doing well like this. I know his name is going to pop in most of all this FIFA Pro 11, like the way Messi's name has been the highest in the list so far. So I think this is the best list so far.
Yes, this is a nice list. Not to talk about the few players who are here. Hakimi did well in PSG. Apart from PSG, he also did well in Morocco. Van Dijk, he did well with Liverpool. Mendy did well, providing the assist even in the final and also scoring. So I believe that Mendy is meant to be here. One of the players that I'm against is Pedri. I don't think Pedri deserves to be here because one of the players that I am looking up to is Valverde. Valverde is a great player that whenever he's called upon, he performs well. So I believe that if Valverde is here to replace Pedri, it will be a nice list.
Yeah, well said. I think I've carefully listened to everyone. First off, let's look at what Chimandu said about Valverde and Cole Palmer.
Mo Salah.
And
Mo Salah is supposed to be there.
If Mo Salah is going to be there, Mo Salah is going to think about replacing Ousmane Dembele
No,
or
Lamine
Lamine Yamal.
Yes, I think he shouldn't be there.
Yes, we must also talk about how far that a team went during the course of tournaments, because I felt like Liverpool were disappointing in Europe last season, so making them like more like a local champion. And if you look at this list properly, we have Nuno Mendes from Paris Saint-Germain, we have Akraf Hakimi from Paris Saint-Germain, Gigi Donnarumma is Paris Saint-Germain, and we have Ousmane Dembele from Paris Saint-Germain. This is a team that won the treble. So we must also consider who is playing where and how many goals they were able to get last season. In fact, a lot of persons are saying maybe I would have listened if you talk about Rafinha, who had a very interesting season last season with the goals and then that forward. So I feel like Lamine Yamal did not get the goals, but really contributed heavily to the success of Barca as a team and how far. In fact, he single-handedly carried that team.
Same thing with Mo Salah. He single-handedly carried Liverpool. Have you forgotten that when you're talking about league formats and you're talking about how strong your league is, you cannot compare Premier League and Spanish League.
So the Premier League
Can
and
we
the Champions
swap?
League now. Premier League and the Champions League now.
The champion, yes, I would say, did Lamine Yamal won the Champions League? No, he didn't. Yes, they went far.
But he went far.
But
He
they
went
were
far
the
than
semis. They were the semis.
They went far, but you will not use that as a yes to. We're talking about someone who single-handedly carried Liverpool from. We all know how Liverpool used to be until Mo Salah joined. Consistently, he has been performing week in, week out. And you're talking about Lamine Yamal. I feel Lamine Yamal is a good player, but I think this overhype is not doing him any good. I think at this point he should relax and let him take his time and get to that stage.
He
But
wasn't the
for
one.
now, for me,
He wasn't
it's
the one who
not
selected himself into this list.
No,
See,
no, I'm not saying my own
what I
opinion.
noticed about about the selection that most times Africans are not quite featured in this it takes time for African
No,
to
I think what you should be pointing out, because I can't forget
Because-
it's Africa. I think you should be talking about popularity.
Yeah.
If you get to a certain level, your popularity will come up. Remember, like I was explaining how the selection was done. You know that a lot of persons must have selected Mo Salah also.
Yes.
But it's about how many times did Mo Salah get that mentioning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where player popularity comes in. That's where doing that significant. Like, significant is not a time where you need to watch properly before you see. I feel like professional footballers know what they look out for. You understand the difficult moves because they make these moves themselves. Like, I feel like you have a point. Mo Salah should be in this selection one way or the other. Deserve to be here. But I feel like Lamine Yamal still deserve to be here.
I don't think he deserves to be here.
Okay.
I really do not think. I think that he should. Just as the way I always feel.
Okay, now let's balance it all off. Yeah, that's where I was coming.
I didn't
He finished
feel he
number
should be
2,
there.
which means if there was no Usman Dembele,
He would have
Lamine
been
Yamal would have been
That's why I said that I think this over owing him to get to the top.
That's what I'm saying. He's hurrying
It's
because the votes.
affecting.
No,
I think it's more of Europeans. I think it's more.
No.
And let's not even go for those because I believe Africans, because there was a time that I can't remember the time that Oshola was nominated for the African Footballer of the Year. And Africans we expected that these things they will vote her in as somebody that has been fantastic. But you need to see them going to other clubs when you know that this person really deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we Africans were also shooting ourselves on the leg because if you look at the footballers, I am sure
You're talking about the African
the
professional
voters,
players.
yes,
Because
I'm sure,
professional players are the ones voting.
Yes.
So I can tell you for sure now that Osimhen did vote.
yes,
Ahmed Musa did
yes,
vote.
yes.
Do you get my point now? Boniface,
All of it.
now good. So if Osimhen, I'm just saying, must have selected a Lamine Yamal, because that's why I pointed out that we have more football association in Africa than any other part of the world.
So
I feel like the players knows, they know what they're looking out for in a player, and I don't think Mohamed Salah got to that level because Osimhen scored last season, but did Osimhen perform well to be in that position than Kylian Mbappe? Kylian Mbappe is the one who is sitting around number 9 in this 11. They must think about who is
what thing is
Kylian Mbappe scored goals last season,
but not
Osimhen scored goals last season.
But remember that the whole
As much as you're looking at the league,
in the calendar
where the
year,
league cancels away, is in the Champions League, where your league comes toe to toe with my league. That's the most elite. Then after that, we have a new competition in the Club World Cup. And the Club World Cup is where the world, like Brazil and Africa, could get a chance to meet. And we had a stellar performance from Kopama. Like when we talk about Kopama's case now, we have Kopama dominate the world.
yes.
We had Kopama dominate.
I do not think Kopama dominated.
He did score goals that won it.
I think he did. He only showed himself in the
He
final.
showed himself.
No,
I think it was only the final. I think my own
It's only the
finals
finals
that he performed.
He played well all through the tournament.
For me, I think
Play
I'm
well.
not saying he's not
Play well for a player. Play well for a player like him
Mhm.
will not be judged by goals. You talk about the assist.
And
You
the
talk
chances,
about
creating
about
chances.
dominating the midfield. In which games did Chelsea lose out the midfield? You must think about, because it's just like judging Donnarumma with how many goals he scored. We must talk about him with clean sheets. He conceded 3 in the final, but he was the best goalkeeper last season.
For me, watching out all the Club World Cup, for me, I did not think Kopama really performed.
So who was the best midfielder?
Exceptional.
Who was the best midfielder for you during the Club World Cup?
No, you
can just point out. You can say
Kopama.
yeah, you know, not Kopama now. I know Kopama is not. Who is the person? Because if you call the person,
If you
we will now go.
if you ask me, I'll give it to Bettinha.
Okay, good.
Bettinha.
That's what I'm saying. And Vitinha in that 3 selection is on this list. So after Vitinha, who?
I'll give it to Valverde.
After Valverde, who?
In the World
In
Cup,
the Club World Cup,
Real Madrid was not
In the
were
Club
not
World
seen
Cup.
in that Club World Cup.
I'm telling you,
They were not.
see, remember, now,
They got to the semi-final.
Let me explain why this selection. Remember that
Obama is there because he was in the
no,
final.
what I mean is that all the
That's why you should.
that's what I'm saying. All the federations in the world
He also scored in the final.
and the Club World Cup must have been watched worldwide
Yes.
than the Spanish league.
Yeah.
Now, the federations who are professional footballers worldwide must have watched the final more than they watched anything last season.
Yes.
Do you know, instead of me to give it to Obama, I'll give it to Joshua Kimmich. Yes. Yes, I will.
Did Joshua Kimmich win the Champions League?
He didn't win the Champions League. But you're talking about the Club World Cup.
Did he win the
Best
Club World
midfielder.
Cup? Did he win the Club
He
World
didn't win it,
So,
but
and
he
he
was
was-
fantastic.
But he was a good midfielder.
I don't judge him. I didn't
You
judge
must.
him.
I think let me land it. If the Chelsea goalkeeper had
Sanchez.
if Sanchez had a good season
Yes.
in the Premier League and had a good season in the Champions League, he would have been the best goalkeeper. Because on that day, he kept a clean sheet over Paris Saint-Germain. But the fact that Paris Saint-Germain got a treble, in fact, that game was the only final that they lost that season.
Yes.
And who was manning their post?
Donnarumma.
Now, the only wing you're going to beat Paris Saint-Germain in any award are wings where they don't have the best players. Do they have the best goalkeeper in the world? Yes. Do they? Last season, did they possess the best left back?
Yeah. Wendy's. Yeah.
Did they possess the best right back?
Yes.
Yes, Hakimi.
Now, their midfield is where they had only one player very instrumental in that midfield, that's Vitinha. And take away Vitinha, when you give Vitinha, take it out.
I think Fabian Ruiz was also fantastic.
Now they had
I
being fantastic is
Fabian Ruiz was also a very fantastic.
Yeah,
He was integral with Ventia. He allowed Ventia to play free.
It doesn't matter. What
to
I
be
mean,
able to cover him in the midfield.
if you take him out of that team, if you look at what I think about selection, a lot of the conversation we're having, there is no team in the world that could come out sit on the bench.
That's true.
But he sat on the bench.
That's
But he sat on the bench in Manchester City.
No.
He sat on
We're
the
talking
bench.
about last year.
That's
No, in the
But he was-
in the calendar year.
started feeling
Wait.
wide and
So let's not talk about. There's no mercy in this conversation from August.
will finish.
Wait, Chiwendo, please, let's be very, because sometimes let's not talk banana tree and other banana tree analysis. From August, that's why I established the background. From August 11th, 2024, till August 3rd, 2025, and I repeat, there is no team in the world that Obama will sit on the bench. There is no player in his position in creative midfield that will bench him in any team in the world. In this year in review, and now Lamine Yamal and Mohamed Salah, if you bring them, some coaches will choose to start Yamal over Salah in the year in review. These are things you consider. Now, there is no goalkeeper. There is no team that Donnarumma will go to in the year in review. Remember, the year in review that any keeper will keep Donnarumma, that you have Donnarumma and say, sit, let me put Sanchez.
And that was why.
That's the year for
When it comes to goal.
Now, Mbappe cannot be in any team as number 9. Even a Haaland, last season, like in that window of selection, even a Haaland, even Osimhen, you will put Haaland and Mbappe in your number 9. Last season, like in that window, in that August to August 2024.
But do you know that Mbappe struggled? He struggled.
You're not understanding.
But that was the position he struggled.
Who outscored him last season in his struggle?
In his own role.
No, I want to hear.
Victor Ekor is the
Wait now, his league
was a part of the selection.
Victor Gyökeres.
Yes.
Wait now, in all his goals.
Yes.
Now, Victor Gyökeres is in a new calendar of review now. In a big team now. Victor Gyökeres in this window make FIFRO 11.
No.
Good. We must always consider. That's why I'm trying to paint the pictures that we understand. Now, is there a team that will have Hakimi and play any other number 2?
Not possible. It's not possible.
Nuno Mendes in the window of discussion. There are very perfect left backs in the world, but he is not sitting on the bench for anybody. This is what I want us to actually look at. You talked about Valverde. I don't think Valverde will make the 11 in every team in the world, but I feel Obama as a creative midfielder, a very fit Kopama that we saw the season before this season and the season under review and the season before that season is going to make any 11. And he made 11s. In fact, he sat on the bench for England during the Euros and they felt it when he got the starting nod. Like these are the yardstick that I feel like we should be looking. Now, Mo Salah and Yamal will be like it will be a struggle. Some coaches will select Yamal. Some will select Salah.
Same thing with Valverde.
Yeah, okay.
There's something that Valverde brings in the present in that midfield that I feel Kopama do not bring.
I'm not saying
Valverde is more creative. He's more
I'm not saying it. Even
you don't just look at the creativity.
What I'm saying is
about what did you bring to the team?
Like
Valverde can function in totality of that midfield. Can Kopama do that?
Caicedo this year.
We also look at
this year.
We also look at the
selection.
If Chelsea are able to win any trophy and go far in tournaments, Caicedo will take away Vitinha in this 11.
Yes. I was everywhere.
What I'm trying to tell you is about form. Vitinha is a good player and had a good season last season. Now, Caicedo is having an amazing season.
Very well.
If he continues in this trajectory, that's what I mean about selection.
You also know that
is what the calendar window is all about.
Of Arsenal, if Arsenal got a trophy last season, Rice should be in this team.
Over Vitinha.
Yes.
You see why? That's
Rice should be in this
what
team.
I'm pointing out. Now, people will now start feeling how they are feeling about. But I'm talking about the most glaring of selection. So when we look at where they have placed, remember, look at it now. Van Dijk is here. Is there no centre back at Paris Saint-Germain that did the treble? There are centre backs. But when we talk about Van Dijk, take him to Paris Saint-Germain that year. He will remove any centre back and play before you now consider who will play. But he did. But there were some, because if it's by treble, you should just be Paris Saint-Germain players or do here.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, these players who selected, it's not like there will never be a perfect selection. But I feel like there is nobody here who will say, no, why is he here? Kopama and Valverde can be a case. But is Kopama worth being in this list? I, for one, feel like he's worth it. But you can also contend and say Valverde actually tried. But trust me,
I do not
to be the number 2 in goal scoring in the Premier League a season before this season.
Yeah.
I mean, from that attacking midfield position, and after the highest goal scorer, you are next in a struggling Chelsea team. These are things you consider and say, ball is a king.
What was Real Madrid not struggling last season? They struggled.
They struggled. Now that is why Kylian Mbappe, and I said mention a striker in Europe's top league that has scored Mbappe, and you could not. That's why he's here.
I never argued for Mbappe not to be in the list. I was talking about Mo Salah and Valverde. These two players deserve to be in the list. Of course, I know that Mbappe. Like I said, Mbappe struggled, and he was not playing because the reason why Mbappe should be there is because that was not his natural position. We all know him to play from the wing, and then you now put him as a striker, and he was able to adapt and perform.
Yeah.
For me, he should be that
now, do you
accepted.
know, as we're talking,
But for
as
me,
we're talking this year, he has cemented his place in FIFA 11 for next. Of course,
Yes, man. We have
already.
4 brains in the last one.
Now the battle is hot because Haaland is coming for that place.
Yes.
Now, do you know what will
same
happen?
thing with Osimhen.
No, let me even
They're
explain.
looking at it from the
Do you know what will
Champions League
happen?
side.
Do you know what will happen?
Champions League point of view.
Chima, do you know what will happen? They will select Mbappe and push him by the side to the right hand side and put Haaland. Two of them perform.
Because Alan was there in the
That's
last.
what I'm explaining.
Alan was in the 2024 edition.
Do you understand? And Mbappe was there.
Mbappe was there.
So
So Mbappe was playing from the side while Alan was in the middle.
For me, I think Ousmane Dembele has already removed himself from the position. I'm talking about the next
And
one.
I think
But for
Ousmane
this one,
Dembele, in my own opinion, Ousmane Dembele can be removed and Lamine Yamal will put. I still do not believe.
Because
I still don't find Ousmane Dembele worthy of the Ballon d'Or. I still feel, for me, I still feel like he got the Ballon d'Or because he's French. In my opinion,
I don't think so.
I feel like the Ballon d'Or belongs to Lamine Yamal. For me, there is no footballer breathing now that is a better player than Lamine Yamal in the world. That's my opinion. Nobody in every position, nobody plays a better football technically. The football intelligence for an 18-year-old. I mean, being poise on target. If he wants to play a shot to like watching in a game, he can hit the bar the same angle 3 times. It's not by luck. He wants to bend it just a bit lower. We saw it against Inter Milan. Like he's that kind of player, and that is what I call a player who can repeat a thing. Like Ronaldinho Gaucho, pass me the ball. This is what I'm going to do. Like I'm going to hit it here, and it's going to be there. Dembele is a fantastic player, but he's not that kind of player. He doesn't belong to the Ballon d'Or cadre of players, and I feel like he got it. He's going to be just one of those who got it once and might never get it again. So injuries might have, like someone was making a case on that, injuries might have played a role in why he didn't get to where he should get. Because at the time he was one of those. Martial was one of those people that they tipped for the Ballon d'Or. But when we talk about Lamine Yamal, I don't want anybody to bring. Maybe I can contend Obama, maybe Valverde, but you see Lamine Yamal and Mohamed Salah. Nothing in the world is keeping Lamine Yamal on the bench.
You're talking about last season.
Last year,
Yes. I think Musa. You just said your own suggestion. For me, I think Lamar is a very exceptional player. But if for last season, the current form, last year form of Musala, I would put a Musala ahead of Lamine Yamal.
You are talking based on experience, but when it comes to playing and style, playing and style,
I would put a Musala.
Now in the Champions League, they were knocked out in the round of in the playoff.
yes,
by a Paris Saint-Germain team who struggled to qualify, and Salah was there on the day. He was not. See,
he was not performing.
Let me
He performed in the Premier League, but in the Champions League.
Do you even know that last season Liverpool were champions because Bele they worry all the other things for Premier League, and that is what we are seeing this season. For me, Salah had a good season. He did. It was the case.
It was the case of.
It was the case.
It was even. Officiating.
Let me even tell you.
Officiating really kills some teams. No. On a very good day, we have to analyze that. The officiation was the big problem in that match.
See how many goals
Every season,
Haaland now. Haaland already don't run away with highest goal scorer. Doubling whatever everybody can score this season. That was not the case with Mo Salah last season. Now, if they still knock out Man City in the Champions League, he should be rest assured that nobody is selecting him. If you're a good player, do it domestically and do it in Europe. And every other tournament, and if he even fails to qualify for the World Cup, like whoever that will be in this FIFA 11, the players after the World Cup, and even the Ballon d'Or, and even the World Cup will decide because the World Cup you play. So we must wait until after the World Cup in US, Canada, Mexico to decide who gets into where. So if you like, score all the goals. If Osimhen fails to make it to the World Cup, he won't be in the conversation. Because the World Cup here, do we agree?
Of course.
So this is what, the way you're playing, the tournament involved, and I think every year that we have a Club World Cup, the Club World Cup will play a huge role on who we select.
Yes.
So I think this conversation was very solid, and I must salute Chiwe for making like that very strong case for Valverde and of course Mohamed Salah. It's a strong case, and I feel like Lamine Yamal, Mo Salah for last season, a lot of coaches will wonder who they will select because he was still very much top notch in the season. But that's why we love what we do here. I proudly sponsor by our friends at Mansbet. You can join this conversation. So you were one of those that said the selection was perfect in your opinion.
Yeah.
In your opinion, it was perfect.
It was perfect, but
Apart from Rice.
Apart from Rice. I'm not saying that apart from Rice not being there. I was talking about that in that midfield.
We should have gotten one Arsenal player.
Not an Arsenal player, no.
Okay.
But it's all
The big Arsenal player, all good.
But now Arsenal is still getting.
So Arsenal, we have like 3 Arsenal players in next FIFA Pro.
Not
They are promising us a treble. So if
Is it possible?
if they do the
and who
treble,
says it's not possible?
Is it possible?
Who says it's not possible?
before it comes to an Arsenal treble winning argument, I can't thank you enough, Chiwedo, for being a part of this conversation. The very technical angles that you bring is amazing. Thank you very much, Podolski, for coming up with those interesting lines. And to you, we really appreciate, but I know you would have been happier
Yeah,
to see some corners in that list. But all the same, thank you very much, Poroma, who was very much behind the camera. For all of us at World Committee Voice and from Sports Preview, we said thank you very much for being a part of this one. Join the conversation via the comment section. Start telling us. I feel like Chiwedo's comments are going to be the most discussed. A lot of persons want to say, no, Papa, they should be there. you're right. And a lot of persons are going to say Mo Salah over Lamine Yamal. After all, how many goals did Yamal score? Remember, Mo Salah was the best player, the PFA best player last season. In fact, Premier League Football Association, they felt like this is the best player in the league, and you know what it means to win the best player in the Premier League, and at the age that he did, like it's
So
above 30. A lot of persons can start also talking about experience, consistency. Remember, Dembele was rated this high. Now, let me even shock you in the show. Do you know that Neymar did not win the Ballon d'Or? Who would have believed? But when Neymar came to limelight at Barca, nobody would believe that a Neymar Jr. would end football without the Ballon d'Or.
There is no way you would have done it with Messi doing that.
Now he left Barca. He left Barca and went to Paris Saint-Germain. He did not live up to his expectation. Now,
Because there's other factors.
Okay.
I think lack of discipline.
and injuries. Did Luka Modric win it? When
yes,
Messi
yes,
was
we won it once.
Now, did Erling Braut Haaland win it? Yes. That's what it takes to be Ballon d'Or winner. It takes being the player that everyone can rely on. It's always when now did Dembele now win it?
But
After he was Dembele was kicked out. Dembele was
But it was not in the era of Messi.
now
and
in this
it
era.
was very difficult.
Neymar should still be in this era.
If you watch before
Modric did
won
it at
it,
over 30.
So, but like I said, Neymar's case was lack of
Injury.
discipline. It's not even injury. I think it's lack of
His
discipline.
injuries. I think he had an
It's
injury
lack
that
of
keeps
discipline.
haunting him every now and then.
Because if you are the same thing happened to Dembele, but he said his routine changed, his dieting changed. That is the reason why he became consistent. Was Neymar ready to do that? Today you will see him, he's injured, he's in the club. He's not ready. He was not ready to work hard.
That's
So
the
it
point.
was a lack of discipline.
Modric when he was
I think you're talking about the discipline and you're still taking it back to my Yamal when you're talking about discipline.
Because he's
We'll have the conversation of Lamine Yamal one day. I think we'll have it again when we talk about where Barca are beginning to compare all of the things that he's doing. But let me tell you, if you get to his level at 17, I mean go to the Euros at 16 with your assignment from school, it's definitely going to go into your head. It's just about trying to control it. I feel like the only player that is coming close is Mbappe to have enjoyed being a star at a young age. And the last person was Pele for Brazil. He's going to go at 18. He's going to go at and at 18, he'll be a starter for a country like Spain.
Even Pele, the thing affected.
That's what I'm saying.
It must affect any of
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It must affect a player.
Except if you have a parental care that carries you
Someone was
along.
talking about Carvajal and he said Carvajal cannot get the salary Yamal is getting at 18. Now, Carvajal, giving football everything. I mean, captain, he has captain Spain on
Yes.
but he cannot get the pay that Yamal is getting at just 18. And if Yamal feels like he's tired of Europe, he can go to Saudi Arabia and start earning more.
And pack the money
So
over them.
when you get to that level, it's difficult to say I'm staying there like that. I was having a conversation sometime and they said if whiskey stops school, but if he comes to school dismisses. Like he gets to his department and nobody can learn again. Like if there's a lecture, everybody leaves the lecture to come out and see whiskey. So he stopped going. He can't walk. So you know when you're bigger than the school is going to close. Like if you come, the school is going to close because so the school will need to beg you to stop coming. Like cross a department and everybody in that class comes out because you're crossing.
Even the lecturer
You're
come out.
going to distract everything. So that is what is happening in Lamine Yamal's case, but I feel like it still needs to put on that check because it has destroyed a lot of players. Making it at a young age can be very, very disadvantageous if you do not manage it. But I feel like you've got a whole lot, apart from injury, there's a bright future waiting for him. But that's the point where we can take on this one. I've thanked you guys enough. I can't thank you guys enough for being part of this one. We'll do this on the next episode, so we urge you to make sure that you like, subscribe. Don't forget that friends at MaxBet are our sponsors. Adios.